Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the 7 things that I've learned in the 7 years that I have been self-taught with digital painting. Did you see the parallelism in this whole video topic, the 7 things I've learned in 7 years? I don't know, I thought it would be catchy or something. Okay, first off, let's talk about a couple of things about the 2 paintings. The original drawing was made in May of 2011. I was 12 years old. And this was the first time that I had ever tried a digital software to create a digital painting. Honestly, I was not using an actual painting software. It was this super old, photo editing, cheesy program. You know, the kind that made collages on your photos and all that kind of stuff. This one had a feature where you could use an airbrush tool or you could use a pen tool to select and fill places in. But it was extremely rudimentary. There were no layers. It was a pretty sucky program, but that's what I started digitally painting on, we'll say that. I used to have an anime style for a very short period, and that was just because I had no idea what to do with my art, and I wanted it to be cute and girly, and I saw anime, and I was like, yo, that seems cute, and then I did it, and the eyes were all too big, and I hated it, and I hate it now. Not saying anime style is bad, I just don't appreciate my art from back then. And so, yeah, the new painting is made 7 years later, 2018 right now. I'm 19 at the moment, and it was made in around 7 hours in Krita, which is a free painting software. Okay, so let's talk about the topic of this video. My first tip is in relation to the 2 drawings. The first one is don't copy someone else's style. So that was me having an anime style. The first drawing was kind of copied from this one book on how to draw anime. It had a reference kind of picture, and I basically copied that. I have it written down on the side of this drawing, and I was very proud of the drawing itself, but at the same time I felt kind of bad because I had copied another drawing, I knew it wasn't my original work, and so that's why I credited it. And yeah, that's the first thing I would say is don't copy someone else's style. Everybody's style is going to be, unless somebody particularly has to draw in a particular style for a project or because they want to rip somebody else off, everybody has a unique style, and they developed it through years of hard work and growing with their skills. And so don't copy someone else's style. You have to have your own unique one, and even if you don't see it now, don't worry about it. That's not important when you're first starting out with art. Always focus on proportions and anatomy and color theory, and gesture drawing is definitely going to help you learn more realistic drawing, and then that can help you with your stylized drawings. A foundation with drawing realistically will definitely help you whenever you're going to be drawing more stylistically. The second tip that I have is to use reference. And so, first drawing, I just copied someone else's artwork, and I did not use a reference. For the second drawing, I did not use a reference, never mind. My tips are horrible. But in general, I would say that using reference is a great thing to do, especially if it's your own reference. If you've taken a picture, or you compose yourself, or use your own face for reference, it's very awesome because you don't even have to deal with the whole issue of copyright infringement or people having seen the photo that you've drawn on the web and then they're like, oh, I know that photo, I've drawn it too. That's kind of weird sometimes. And so using reference is extremely important because you learn anatomy, proportions, lighting, and color theory, and it's just beneficial all around. And so if you have a certain pose in mind, definitely try to photograph yourself in that pose, try to find somebody else like a friend or even online photos of that pose and use it as a reference. That doesn't mean copying the original by any means, it's just using it to kind of start to learn anatomy and proportions and all that. The next thing that I would recommend is much more specific to digital painting, and it's that you don't need Photoshop to create amazing paintings, and you don't need the best tablet, you didn't need a Cintiq, you don't need an iPad to create amazing artwork. And so when I first started out, as you saw, I was using a really horrible just photography program, but then I moved on to using GIMP, MyPaint, and Krita, and so I settled on Krita. I loved it the most. Back in the day, GIMP was a better painting software than Krita was. Krita was kind of it wasn't that great, and so I tried it again after 3-ish years, and it was much better, and they've made a lot of improvements to it, and it is streamlined for painting. It is a free program. GIMP, MyPaint, and Krita are all free painting and photo manipulation software. That's GIMP, but my Paint and Krita are painting software. And so I definitely recommend using those if you are looking for a really good painting program but do not want to use Photoshop. I don't think that as a beginner you need Photoshop at all. For one, it's expensive. You have to get a subscription after you use up your trial, and so for the average person it's going to be at least like $20 a month, which I do not recommend. If you are a beginner, you do not need to be spending that much money, especially when you're trying to learn and improve. You can use Krita. Photoshop is good for professionals because it has so many features and tools that you will never use until you become a pretty skilled artist. And usually Photoshop is used for photo manipulation. A lot of artists can use it for painting, but it's not like primarily made for painting, you know? It's a photo editing software. And so I would definitely recommend Krita if you are looking for a good software. That's what I'm using for the second piece, and that's what I use for all my digital paintings. The second thing is what tablet you're going to be using. If you want to get a Wacom, you know, super name brand and great quality, you can definitely go on eBay and buy a second-hand tablet, and it will save you tons of money. If you don't want a Wacom but you still want a really good tablet, I have a couple of tablet reviews up on my channel, but I would recommend Huion tablets, and not sponsored, I've never been sponsored by them. But for the new painting, I am using a Huion tablet. It's the Huion Giano WH1409 tablet, and it is like $150 when I received it, and it is extremely huge. It's like the biggest drawing tablet ever, but they actually have tablets that are like $20 to $40. Just be sure that you get a good pen pressure and that the driver is working, and you will be fine. A lot of the professional grade digital painting products that you could be getting, such as Photoshop, Cintiq tablets, iPads, those you don't really need unless you're a professional and you know exactly what you're doing and you know that you personally need those items. I don't think that you need the most expensive supplies when you're starting out. The fourth tip that I have is thumbnail and do color studies for larger paintings. And so this will save you so much time from drawing this amazingly detailed sketch for a drawing, and then it's compositionally bad and you have to fix it. Proportions are not good. You don't exactly like it. It doesn't look the way you had envisioned it in your head, or the colors don't look great, and that can just take up too much time and you'd have to start over. So a lot of the mistakes that you can make through the big painting process can be eliminated if you can do thumbnail sketches and color studies. For thumbnails, it's like you're drawing blobs and you're just composing them the way that you want to, and you're adding quick like color swashes over those blobs and figuring out where things are going to be and what kind of lighting you want. And then you can make a little bit of a larger thumbnail, and then afterwards, once you figure out what you want your drawing to look like compositionally and what pose you want to have, you will actually make a better sketch for the entire painting. So thumbnails just help because you can make a bunch of them and they don't take any time at all, and you can figure out compositions and colors and all that jazz. It's much easier than having to draw a beautiful sketch and then something is off about it and you have to erase it or erase parts of it. It is much easier to do thumbnails. The fifth tip that I have is don't spend too long perfecting your lines. I've found that being sketchy and drawing gesturally will definitely help your subjects look more fluid and not stiff. Drawing gesturally means that whenever you're sketching, you let your drawings have some like loose lines around them. You don't have one solid line that defines the shape of the arm. You could have 5 or 6 that are kind of sketchy and really fast, and you could choose between them to see which one looks the best. It gives you options on which lines you can choose for the final one, and then you can go over those with like a darker line or with another sketch on top of that layer. So definitely being sketchy will help to free up your paintings, and your characters won't look as stiff. The sixth tip that I have is extremely basic, is to save your painting all the time. I know that your computer will crash at some point and you will be sorry. It has happened to me so many times, and you'd think I learned, but a lot of times it's like I push my luck, you know, I'm like, it's okay, it's not gonna crash right now, it's not gonna restart right now. They don't have to do an update right at this moment, and then that's when they do, and it's going to be like a minute before I had planned to save the file. So save the file of your painting all the time. For me, I always just have the Control-S keys. I click them and my files are saved, and luckily with Krita, it will auto-save your final painting. A lot of the times you can set it to auto-save every like minute, but I've noticed that it doesn't always have it saved perfectly. So definitely, please save your paintings in your process. And the 7th tip that I have is to develop and improve at your own pace, which is extremely important to remember. Digital painting and art in general is not a competition, and when you're starting out, it is very easy to look at renowned like digital artists and to think that you can never get to that level, you can never be professional, and that you're doing it wrong, and they get so many followers and so many likes. And that is a very caustic view to have, because everybody started off at some point, and it was always like every single artist started off doing toddler doodles that were extremely ugly and you don't understand what they mean, and just the amount of time and work that each artist has put into their artwork shows through their development. If they're improving much faster than you think you are improving, it's probably because they put in way more time and effort into their artwork than you do. And that's a lot of times things that you don't see behind the scenes is all the practice and the studies that artists do. They only post their pieces that they're really proud of. And so you also have to remember that what artists and creators post online and on social media is oftentimes just their best work and things that they're proud of. They don't really post the bad days that they're having or failed drawings, and all you see is the good, and so you think that you're inferior because you know all the bad that you're producing. So for one, it's not about followers or likes, and if it is, then your motivation is in the wrong place, and I'm kind of guarantee that you're not going to improve very much, because you can't just focus on followers and likes, because algorithms will change. Like Instagram and YouTube, their algorithms have changed dramatically over the past couple of months, and I'm getting like 1/3 of the views and the likes that I used to be getting. And if I just focused on followers and likes, then I would be extremely disappointed, and I'm a little sad, but it's okay, you know, like it's not the biggest deal, because that's not what my focus is. I still like sharing my art because I love it and I'm passionate about it, and I love seeing other people's art, you know. It's just something that I've capitalized on because I realized that I'm pretty good at it and that I keep improving and I'm passionate about it. So I just try to capitalize on it and make money off of it, or, you know, use it as my job. But it started off as just something that I was very passionate about doing, and I still am extremely passionate about it. I've just been resourceful in finding out how to use it as well as a job. So I definitely urge you to have your motivation in the right place and to not compare yourself to other artists, because you don't know how long they've been working towards getting all their goals and dreams together. So for me, it's taken me 7 years to be able to get to the level I am at digital painting. If you just started digital painting and your first painting looks better than the one that I'm recreating for this video, then you're probably on a better track than I was, because you saw my first digital painting. It was rough. But the more you practice, everybody said that, but the more you practice, the more you will improve. If you truly do love art and you have passion for it, practicing should not be an issue. You should just crank out drawings and paintings, and even if they don't look good, just keep cranking them out. You'll learn things that work and things that don't, and what your workflow is and what your style is. It's going to all come very naturally as long as you practice the fundamentals and you keep at it and you have the right motivation. So yeah, that was my spiel. I hope that was helpful for you. If you're interested, I could also make a video on my 5 art tips for beginner artists, and I can let you know some like more general drawing tips, not so much focused on digital painting. But yeah, if you want that video, please let me know. Leave me a comment below and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more videos, you can subscribe, because I put out new videos every single Sunday, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye!